suppose you want to give name for the plates, then imagine this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis, this is your z-axis. So in this direction, this plate, you consider this plate. So this plate is actually in z direction. So we say z plane, or this z, you may not say, you can also say like xy plane, because if you see from the top, then this plate is nothing but in xy plane. Okay, so there are two ways to give the name for a plane. So if I am saying z plane, it means this plane, or the same z plane someone can say as xy plane. In same way, if I want to give the name for this plane, I mean this plane, then I will say x plane. Or I can say, if you see from this side, this plane is lying in actually this plane, so yz plane. Okay, so I mean to say that there are so many planes, and in every plane you can produce deformation by applying shear force. So that's why tau xy, tau yz, tau xz, they will come into picture. So understand now. If I am simply writing tau zx, it means shear stress is acting in zx plane. It means there will be a shear force acting in zx plane. So if I will give x, y and z, so zx plane, suppose this is the plane, or if you will draw 3D block here like this. So in this 3D block, this top face is your y face, y direction face. It means this is only your zx plane. So you have to apply force in this direction. When you apply force in this direction, how you can apply force like this, then this plate will change the place. You can also apply force like this. Still your yz plane is only being disturbed. So my point is, you will realize by seeing the numerical what kind of force they have applied. Because of that, what kind of stress will come into picture. So we understood sigma x concept, sigma y concept, sigma z concept, and because of sigma x some stress will develop, that I am saying as epsilon x, and epsilon y here and epsilon z is here. They have their own way to calculate, Okay, in same way, if you have tau xy, which is stress, then related to this stress you will be having strain. So here I was explaining that this angle will help us to find out strain. Actually this angle itself is strain. It means when this plate will go in this direction, then I will be getting this strain. So this strain symbol I will give gamma. Okay, so this gamma is related to this stress. Okay, so it means what? It means you can have tau xy, you can have tau yz, you can have tau xz. According to this, you will be having their strains also, gamma xy, gamma yz, gamma zx. It means you got total how many properties? 4 types of properties. Longitudinal stresses, or you can say normal stresses. Because of that, longitudinal or normal strains, shear stresses and shear strains. Okay, till now I have taught you that one type of stress will develop one type of strain, but soon you will come to know there is something called Poisson's ratio. So under Poisson's ratio, I will teach you that one type of stress can develop strain in any direction. So currently, because of the basic idea, we will understand, okay, one type of stress will develop only one type of strain, but after learning Poisson's ratio concept, you will understand, no, one type of stress can produce all the 3 types of stresses, and here also. So let's understand remaining concept. Now there is something called Hooke's law. Hooke's law. Actually, see, whenever there is any member, then reality is when you apply load, suppose you are applying 10 Newton load, then actually after the application of load, what happens? After the application of load, there will be change in the length. Like this guy is here and maybe this will shift here. So because of that, this much length change will come into picture. So this much length is being changed. So what will I do? I will calculate my strain first. So that strain I will say as epsilon x. Why? Because I am considering this as x direction. So this I will do as change in length divided by original length. So suppose original length was 100 and new length is 101. So it will be 101 minus 100 divided by original length means 100. So I got 1 by 100. So I got my strain. Now this strain epsilon x, which is 1 by 100, will help me to find out stress. Now see, earlier I taught stress you can find out by using deformation force, force and the area. But now I am teaching first calculate strain and then with the help of strain you can find out stress. It means to finding out this stress, I am not taking help of applied load. Are you getting what I am saying? Actually, I am saying that to find out this stress, now I am not using this formula. I am not going to use force by area formula. I am going to take help of the strain. So Hooke's law says, whatever stress you want to find out, whatever stress is being developed, that will be proportional to strain. It means there is one more way to calculate stress. So your stress is proportional to strain. This is what is known as Hooke's law. And this is valid only under proportional limit. I will explain what is the meaning of proportional limit. I will draw a stress strain diagram. On that diagram, I will explain what is stress strain and that is a limit. But okay, right now you understand Hooke's law says, okay, stress is proportional to strain, but this is only valid in proportional limit. So that proportional limit I will explain on this stress strain diagram. It looks like if you are having tensile diagram, it looks like this. So here this is called proportional limit. Okay, leave that part. Currently you just understand this basic. Okay. So this is about the Hooke's law. So according to Hooke's law, you have stress proportional to strain. What happens when we remove proportional sign? Whenever we remove proportional sign, we get a constant. It means after removing, we get stress is equal to any constant here and then strain. Actually, this constant here is known as elastic modulus. Elastic modulus. So you have several types of elastic modulus. For example, Young's modulus, shear modulus, bulk modulus. So which modulus you will use here, it depends what kind of stress we are using. So if you are using longitudinal stress, normal stress or direct stress, if you are using sigma, then you will be using E value. E value means Young's modulus here. Whenever there is change in length, it means if you are calculating sigma x or sigma y or sigma z, then we will be using E value. It means what kind of strain you will be getting? Epsilon x, epsilon y and epsilon z. But if your stress is not sigma, if stress is shear stress, that is tau, then you will be using G value. G value is also known as modulus of rigidity, or you can say shear modulus. It has two names, modulus of rigidity or shear modulus. But B is known as bulk modulus. Okay, come back. So this tau, which is shear stress, if you substitute shear stress, then which constant will come here? G value. Okay. And which strain will come here? Gamma will come here. Then epsilon x, y, z will not come. Okay. Then we go for the third one, that is known as B, bulk modulus. Bulk modulus has a special case. Bulk modulus you will use if you have volumetric stress. Volumetric stress is equal to B into volumetric strain. Actually, mostly this is the case mostly in hydrostatic condition. Means what? Whenever something is under water, then we deal with volumetric stress completely. There are so many other examples for this. Like very popular example is when your object is into the water or any other fluid, then it experiences volumetric stress strain. When I'll be giving you proper examples, that time you will be learning this. So this is the entire idea about your basic stress strain. Now bending and torsion, those types are remaining, that I will take properly. Now we will go further into Hooke's law. According to Hooke's law, just now we saw that your stress is proportional to strain. Then we can simplify this proportional sign and we'll be getting some constant here. So just an example, if I am considering stress as sigma x, then here I'll be using E. E means Young's modulus. Young's modulus, why will you be using? Because your stress is sigma. Sigma means your length will change. So for change in length, we use Young's modulus. That length can be in any direction, x, y, z, does not matter. Every time you'll be using E. And your strain you'll be using as epsilon x. So for simplicity, I am removing x from here. Because it is valid for all the three directions, that's why. So your sigma is equal to E times epsilon. So this is your relation between stress and strain. Now for mathematical uses, for numerical solving purpose, we again transform this equation. Your sigma is nothing but applied load by area, and in some books, in some textbooks, this load symbol they use as P by area. Don't be confused with pressure. This P is not pressure here. This P is load condition, load. So this P by A, this is force here, unit is Newton, and area is equal to E times strain. Strain is nothing but change in length divided by L. So here I am going to again shuffle this equation. What I am going to do, this length I am going to multiply here, and this E I am going to divide here. So your change in length will look like PL divided by AE. So here we got a trick to remember change in length formula. So first understand the case. Whenever you have loading on the given length L and cross section area A and Young's modulus E, then because of this loading your length will change. If the loading is tensile, then length will increase. So del L is positive. If the loading is compressive, then del L will be negative. My main point is the trick to remember this formula. There is an English word called play, P-L-A-Y, right? So see, in this P-L-A-Y, this P-L divided by A-Y, Y means Young's modulus, so E, right? Great trick here. Okay. So this is the great formula to find out change in length directly. In same way, you have here I have applied Hooke's law in case of change in length. You can also write down Hooke's law for shear case. So how can you write down this? You can write your tau is equal to G times gamma. Your tau is stress, gamma is strain, and this is your elastic modulus. Then we will understand whenever you apply any kind of tensile load, mostly we will discuss two types of diagrams. See, we have a member. In this member, you are applying load. This load is tensile in nature. So what will happen? You keep on applying the load for long time, then maybe slowly, from here your member will break. So from the fresh condition to the final breaking condition, on the way whatever phenomena has happened at molecular level, all those phenomena we have to understand using tensile test diagram. So there is something called tensile test diagram. So tensile test diagram. In this diagram, it is very popular for steel, for aluminium. We used to get diagrams like this. It's like this kind of rough diagrams we get. And these diagrams we draw for stress and strain. So in this diagram, we have from here to here certain names, and here certain names, certain names, certain name, and here certain names. And in between what has happened, physically we have to understand that part, what has happened. But before that you understand, you tell me, have you understood all the ideas about stress and strain completely, whatever I have discussed here?